It's inspiring moments with Kaylin. It's inspiring moments with Kaylin. Come on in. Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the Inspiring Moments with Kaylin live podcast. I am your host, Kaylin John Louis, and I hope everyone has had such an awesome Sunday. I am super duper excited to be here tonight with you all. Just a reminder to keep wearing your mask, continue practicing social distancing, and if you are eligible, please get vaccinated to ensure everyone's safety. We want to make sure that everybody is able to get back to normal. Our lives can start getting back to that place where we were. So please, if you can get the vaccine, do it for yourself. Get the vaccine to ensure your safety. And by doing that, you will ensure other people's. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the KCK Inspiring Moments with Kaylin YouTube channel and turn on your post notifications. Good evening, Amaya. Thank you for being on. Next, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at KaylinCares15. Then I ask that you follow me on Facebook and LinkedIn at Kaylin's Caring Connection. On all those platforms, you'll be able to see upcoming events, upcoming podcasts, past events, or if we're just sharing somebody else's post to support their endeavors to help other people. Last, I ask that you check out the Kaylin's Caring Connection website because on that website, you will see all things Kaylin's Caring Connection, and you'll be able to see why I started it, why I decided to begin the caregiver movement. You'll be able to see anything. And I am so happy, Amaya, that you received your shirts. Everyone, like you said, I suggest that you please purchase a Youth Care 2 t-shirt, the one that I'm wearing now. I'll go over more of that towards the end of the show. But before I get any more into the topic, I ask that one, if you have any questions or if you feel like commenting, put them in the chat because I want to know. I want this to be more interactive and I want to hear your thoughts and your feelings. And I ask that you share this video with others right now on your social media platforms so that we can get this out. I believe that today is going to be a great podcast, and I'm just excited for today's episode. I'm going to be able to have a special but still warm guest to my heart. She's not new to this channel, new to this podcast at all because she runs it in the background every Sunday. And so before I introduce her, last Sunday, I shared an original poem entitled Free, and it talked about changing the trajectory of our lives by choosing to be free mentally and physically. It was incredible. So if you haven't watched it, here you go. When you think of being free, does the power to speak, act, and think as you please something you see? Or has society changed your mind to believe that it is something that isn't guaranteed? When you picture freedom, I bet you picture people like me. Throughout history, we have seen so many activists, leaders, and philanthropists fight for our destiny, fighting for the one thing that could set us all free. And throughout the many trials and victories, somehow we have backtracked and ended up right back in their tragedy. We are living in a broken world full of hatred and uncertainty, never knowing if one day it could be you or me. Our brothers and sisters are facing a new form of adversity, the kind that can be unbearable to see, and that is knowing that our differences make us stand out indefinitely. From the unjust accusations to hate crimes that led to bloodshed, all the protests and violence that has been dispersed around the world, we are tired and angry, tired of seeing more people facing their deathbed, tired of having to educate our children on how to conserve their lives just because the color of their skin. We all want to be free, but never want to be the change we want to see. We wonder why nothing ever changes. The truth of the matter is that it starts with you and me. We can make the world a better place just by believing in ourselves and equality. We must let our voices be heard. We must stay peaceful, for it is okay to be upset and in disbelief, but it is not okay to cause destruction by any means. We must find ways to strengthen our communities. We must choose to be free. So what do I think it means to be free? It means embracing our individuality. It means celebrating our diversity. It means living a life with no regrets. It's a choice for you and me. Stand up, rise, be the person God has created you to be, and be free. I wrote that poem because we all need encouragement after the horrifying tragedies we have faced this year. With so many protests and people speaking up about unjust murder, we can see that people around the world are wondering, when will we truly be free? We have to peacefully come together in unity and heal our world. My heart goes out to every African American or other minority family who has lost a loved one due to police brutality or a hate crime. I pray that God heals your heart. I pray that your grieving doesn't turn into vengeance. I pray that you lean on God and your family to get through this time, and know that we stand with you in your efforts to get justice. We must stick together and turn this world around. Each of us can make a difference, but together we can make change. Remember that trouble doesn't last always. We will all be free one day. Well, there you have it there. Again, like I said, I wrote that poem because there's so much that goes on and is going on right now in the world when it comes to hate crimes. We've seen two this past week, and it is crazy. I wish that we didn't have to live in a world where we see those certain things, that as young people didn't have to find ways to conserve our lives or have to be worried about that. But that's the world we live in. And so that video, I wrote that poem because I wanted to inspire and encourage other people to rise up, choose to be free, because it starts with you. It starts with your decision to be free, and it starts with your decision to make change. So if you want to see that video and keep rewatching it, which I hope you do, you can check that out on the KCK Inspiring Moments with Kaylin YouTube channel. Make sure you share it with others and like it, because we really want to get that out. We want to keep pushing it out because it is something that definitely is for our time right now. Now let's get into the topic for today. As I mentioned before on several occasions, I am the secondary caregiver for my 78-year-old grandmother and my 97-year-old great-grandmother. They both have dementia disease, and their form is Alzheimer's. Caring for them is an active choice that I make every day. I never help by force. It is always out of love, because caring is where my heart resides. Throughout my caring journey, I've learned so many tips, tricks, and lessons about myself and my grandmothers. Those things have helped me shape into a better person, and today I thought I'd share some of those with you. So today my topic is what caregiving taught me. Now, I have my beautiful mother on with me because I want her to be able to just be a part of this conversation, because she deals with this every day just along with me. So, Mother, come on.
I'm here. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm so happy that you're on, as always. But like I said, today's topic is what caregiving taught me. And there is so much that has happened with our whole journey. This started, I believe, in 2017, correct?
Yes, that's when it became full time, 2017. Now, hopefully, this is going to go well because both of them are up. So if I pop out, that's why. But yes, it started in 2016 and then full time 2017.
So we have been with them in this active journey for so long. And if you don't know what Alzheimer's is, I'm just going to give you a quick definition. Alzheimer's is a progressive brain disease, meaning that it becomes worse over time. It begins with small changes in the brain that can eventually change and cause noticeable symptoms such as memory loss and language problems. It also could cause individuals to become bedbound and require around the clock care. Now, we are the part of people who they require around the clock care. So we're here, they're with us 24/7. Caring never stops, as we said earlier. So we're
Never ever.
making that choice to care for them, making that choice to continue to love them. But I know that we both have learned several things. You probably more than me, but we've all had our own share of growth when it comes to caregiving. And so I know that there are several people in the world. There are actually more than 6 million Americans who are living with Alzheimer's disease, which is crazy that it can affect so many people. And that's such a percentage. Just to even think that we have 2 of those people out of the percentage that are dealing with it is quite interesting and crazy, that how it affects the brain. But would you like to tell more of the audience just about Alzheimer's and how it's kicked off our journey?
Well, actually, for us, we have 2 that live with us, but we also have other family members. So right now we're talking about Granny, Grandma, and of course, Grandma is by love and not by blood. But your Granny also has 2 brothers as well as 2 sisters who are dealing with it as well. So we have quite a wide scope. Both Granny's parents also had it. And so at this particular point, it appears to be genetic. We bind it, though. We are not continuing it on. But that's how it has affected our family. And so that's why for us, this has become a advocacy beyond what I ever imagined it to be. As I often tell people, it's not until I became face to face with it that I decided that we have to learn as much as we can and educate as many people as we can. And so, the statistics are there. Alzheimer's also affects African Americans at a 2 times greater rate than Caucasians, African Americans, and Hispanics. And so with us, being African American as well as having that genetic factor, that is something too that we definitely have to educate ourselves on to make sure that we are aware of and abreast of. So, yep.
Definitely. There has been several things that I know with learning about Alzheimer's. Of course, when I first started, I did not know much at all. I just knew that. Remembering, she wasn't remembering us as much. So I feel like I can honestly say I've come a long way, because I promise you, I have to think maybe, because we said 2017. So that's when I was maybe around 11 or 12 when we really started noticing those signs. And I saw, of course, in the beginning, I obviously know she's losing her memory. She's not remembering stuff. But the thing that took me a while to develop was patience, having to actually be patient with her and know that it's not her, it's the dementia, and she can't control what she's doing. And I had to learn how to deal with that. Because I'm telling you, in the beginning, it was not easy. I had my mom telling me several times, you got to remember that this is a disease, it's not her. And so it did take a lot of growth.
And it's continual patience, because as the disease progresses, we get to see more and more behaviors. And as you know, with Granny, it's all about what she wants to do, when she wants to do it, how she wants to do it. And unfortunately, there always seems to be that one person that they kind of have a hard time with. And unfortunately, that seems to be you. And so we have to do a lot of redirecting. But caregiving teaches, as you said, so much, just what your topic is about. It teaches you a whole lot. It teaches you a lot about yourself. It teaches you, for me, my greatest lesson has come, and the things that I've learned the greatest, I've been able to see God in a whole different way. And I think that is what makes the difference for me, because I get to really understand the patience of God. I get to understand the long suffering of God. I get to understand, the love of God, that love that really does surpass what we think we have. I mean, you get to experience all of that. And for me, and it's something that I've tried to teach you along the way as well, is that it's not just about caregiving, but it's about serving. It's about serving the ones that have served you at one point in your life. And so it's more about, I don't see it as just caregiving. I see it as being able to serve. I am the extended hand of God in this particular situation, to be able to show forth his love even the more. That doesn't mean that it doesn't come with its challenges. You just get to learn that, wow, God, you're so patient with me. Ooh, your strength for me, your love for me. That's how I have to look at it. I have to change that perspective of it to be able to do it, like we do.
And you're right. I mean, I have to say that it did teach me servant leadership. I mean, I've done several things where I've had leadership opportunities, but it does teach us on a greater level of servant leadership, having to basically step up and show that, like you said, they cared for you once, so you have to return the favor. I mean, I think that's something everybody should learn how to have the quality of, because you never know what may happen. You never know what could happen in your life, and one day it may be you. You may have to have your children take care of you, because you never know what may happen. So learning that aspect is definitely something I will cherish for the rest of my life. It's something that's probably going to help me in the long run when it comes to more endeavors and more things. But I have to say, the one thing that caregiving taught me in the beginning, when I first found out, was to be grateful for anything and everything. Because there's so many things that we see on a constant basis with Granny, how both of them are slightly going and decreasing when it comes to certain things. Maybe it is going to the restroom, or maybe it's having to take a shower, take a bath. They're not easy. It's not as easy for them to do it. It's not as easy for them to understand things. Sometimes they get flustered when they can't understand or they can't comprehend what you're trying to say. So it shows me to be grateful for everything that I can do. Every time that somebody asks me a question and I can properly respond, anytime somebody is asking me to do something and I can properly do it, I'm grateful for everything, because I see what they go through. I see how hard it can be on them. And even though they can't control what they're doing, it's still like, wow, that's what they're dealing with. And I get to go throughout my life not having to worry about that. And so it's very grateful. It's a great thing to experience. And that's something that I will continuously to think about, just because I see them 24/7. I'm always telling God, thank you for everything, because I see what they're going through.
Right. I remember just in church sometimes, where Pastor Judy used to say, I thank God I didn't get up and put my pants on, as a shirt, and different things like that. And, at a point in time, it was kind of comical, because you don't really think that that's something that people would actually do. But being in it, and you realize, and, you've witnessed this as well, where your granny will take her shirt and put it on the bottom, or even now at the stage that she's in now, something as simple as being able to get up and put your shoes on and know that your shoes are on the right foot. And, just the little things that we sometimes can take for granted. It does teach you how to be grateful. It teaches you how to be thankful for the fact that, it's not just a saying that I got up this morning and I'm in my right mind. I got up and I knew who I was. I got up and I knew how to do certain things. It's not just something that you say that's not cliche-ish, but it's actually what really is. And I might have to pop off for a minute, but
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, we're constantly caring for others. We're constantly doing stuff. So like she said, she may pop off, because that's just what it is. We care 24/7, never get a break and never have time. But it is something to always be grateful for. I mean, yes, like my mom said, it was comical, because I used to hear that all the time. And it's like, who would do that? But That's just dementia. They go from being full adults to drastically changing into the form of a baby, honestly. Sometimes they don't know how to eat, they can't see it, or they don't know how to do things properly, but you have to take it day by day. Another thing that I would say that has to do with this that caregiving taught me was how to adjust to change and persevere in difficult situations. When I found out, I mean, of course, everybody goes through change. Life is constant change. You're never going to know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. It's life. Life throws you curveballs. Life has those times where you never know what's going to happen. But I had to learn how to adjust to change. When I found out in 2017, when my mom had to sit down with me and literally describe, well, this is what your grandma has. She has Alzheimer's. She's not going to remember everything. I had to physically change my mind and my actions and my mindset. Now, I'm not going to say as soon as she told me it was easy, because, of course, at an 11-year-old, 12 brain, you're kind of like, what? But that's just what I had to do. I've learned how to change. I've learned how to reroute. I've learned how to go through those certain times where if I don't understand, I go to research. Or because my mom is always researching, I ask her. Science is always changing. All the statistics, anytime you're getting information, it's always changing. So let's say my granny, sometimes she gets into another stage and she's progressing and we don't know what's going on. Well, then we have the internet. We have resources, those people to talk to say, hey, is this another stage? Is this what progressing is? Because you have to adapt to. Dementia is it's a drastic thing. It happens to the brain. Your brain is constantly changing. So you're going to have those moments where the behaviors are different and you may not know what's going on. And so you have to adapt to change. I mean, did I expect to be a caregiver? No. But I'm not going to say I regret it. It's one of the greatest blessings in my life, and it's something that I would never take for granted.
I don't think at 46 I ever imagined being a caregiver either, Kaylin. I saw it because your granny's mom came to live with us when I was around your age. But at that time, not knowing, we just kind of thought that it was just something that happened to older people. And so because it was something that was familiar because of the family dynamic, never thought anything more of it. And so at 46 years old, I never imagined it. It was the last thing that would ever cross my mind. Actually, I just turned 46. So at the time, I was around 40 when all of this happened. And so it's not necessarily something that you expect. I often say that there's a difference, I think, between a decision and a choice. You make a decision, your choice, you make a decision to do what you do. And so, nobody necessarily prepares to be a caregiver, but when that situation you're faced with, you got to make a decision on what it is you're going to do. And so it was my decision. It wasn't a difficult decision for me. Does it come with its challenges? Absolutely. But it wasn't a difficult challenge for me because you're talking about your granny. Now, grandma it kind of happened. We had your granny, and I think we moved in with her in May. And then in April of the following year, we ended up moving grandma, because that's what the situation called for. And so not a hesitancy, but, you just kind of do what you have to do when you have to do it. And I think I'm just honored at just, the things that you're saying, and just because we've not had an in-depth conversation like this about it and the things that you've learned from it, but just to be able to hear you and to witness the things that you're saying you learn or you're learning from it, I think that is absolutely amazing. And I will definitely say it's not been a difficult task at all, being able to adjust to this with you. I think you have done a phenomenal job, just in the way that you care and the way that you show your love for not just me, but for them. You don't find too many teenagers, especially, who are willing to sacrifice the way that you do. And so I think that is to be commended, to be applauded. And, I do everything that I can to make sure that, you're good, because I appreciate it. And so I'm not going to take over your show talking, so I'm going to shut up.
You are okay. You are okay. This is just a conversation. I mean, she's right. It's the choice. I've never been forced to do anything. She never was like, go do this or you have to do this. It's always, do you mind doing this for me? And I mean, it's nothing that I would not do because I mean, if I'm in the house and I can do something, then I'm going to do something. It doesn't make sense to have two grandmothers in the house who can't get help sometime. And if one needs, sometimes we have those moments where one's calm, the other's not calm, or we have those moments where they're both in a mood. And so those moments where they may both have to go to the restroom, I couldn't imagine if she's trying to take somebody to the bathroom, then she doesn't have that other person. So it's conflict. So if I'm here, I'm going to help. I choose to help because one, of course, they're my grandmothers, but two, even if they weren't my grandmothers, it's just the whole fact of I would want somebody to do this for me. If I ever ended up in this situation, if I ever needed somebody, I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to hope that somebody would be in my life to take care of me if the time came. So I'm going to do everything I can do for other people. Now, we talked about servant leadership. Like I said earlier, that's what caregiving also taught me, learning how to serve, learning how to just make that active choice to say, I'm going to help somebody because they have helped me. Well, caregiving taught me peace. And when I say peace, it's an acronym that I actually formulated. It taught me peace. And when I say peace, that means pause, exhale, accept, choose, and explore. Now, pause means when you talk about peace, when I'm talking about peace, I'm thinking in a timeline. So I'm saying pause. That's what I had to do when my mom told me that my grandma had Alzheimer's. I had to take a moment to stop trying to figure out why my loved one had dementia, why this is happening, why they have the disease. I had to pause and stop. And then I had to exhale and breathe out all the negative thoughts, all the fear, because I know that God has us. I know that I don't have to worry about that. I had to breathe out all those negative thoughts. And I constantly have to breathe out those negative thoughts because you'll have those moments where you think, well, why am I doing this? Why am I caring for them? They can't ever do anything or return the favor. So why am I still doing this? I never have to ask myself that because I'm always coming back and saying, because I would want somebody else to do it for me, because I love them. Then accept. You have to accept. I had to accept that caring for them would be a challenge. But you and we both had to face those obstacles on head on. You can't allow those things to make you upset, to cause you to not help them, no matter how hard it gets, because you're going to have those moments. Everybody has those moments where something gets really hard. And you have those days where it's just like, oh, this is difficult. I wish I had time to breathe. We all get those days, whether you're caring for somebody, whether you're just going through life. You have those moments, but you have to face them on head on and you have to keep going. And then choose, like we've been saying, choice. I chose to care for them. I choose every day to make that active choice to care for them. And then explore. Explore ways you can help them and put them into action. You have to pause, exhale, accept, choose, and explore. That is what caregiving taught me mainly because, of course, I'm not going to know everything that's going to happen. I'm never going to know if one day she's going to be upset with me or the next day she's going to be happy. You never know. But you just have to face those obstacles on head on.
You never know what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. You know, you can be, you know how it is sometimes. You say, Granny was so nice to me. And then all of a sudden, she just went to this other person. You never know. And so, you know, it goes back to what you've been saying. It goes back to that scripture, you know, do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. You know, when you think about it long term, okay, no, this is not me now. But like you said, if I were to ever be in this situation, I'm going to treat them the same way that I would want somebody to treat me if it were me. And so, you know, I love the fact that you have grasped hold to that concept, I mean, just that whole scripture. And a lot of it's perspective. You always have to, because it's not, caring for somebody with dementia is a totally different ball game. Totally different. It doesn't take away from anybody else that is caring for someone in any other type situation, but it's a totally different ball game. No day is the same. Every day is a different day. You don't know what you're gonna wake up to. And that's just, as with everything else. But, the one thing that keeps you going in the midst of it, at least me, is perspective too. Being able to look at it from a different vantage point, being able to understand that they are in their world. For reality for them is right where they are. And so you have to make an active choice to take yourself into where they are. I could pass through the house 10 times in 5 minutes, going back and forth. And every single time I come by, Granny's going to say, hey. For some people, that will be aggravating. I actually saw a post last night, one of the groups that I'm in, Dementia group. That was one of the questions last night that someone had posted in the group. And their question was, they're repeating themselves over and over. Is that normal? So I could tell that was somebody who had just come into caregiving for somebody with dementia, because when you've been in it a while, that's like normal life. It's like they can ask you the same thing in 5 minutes, 20 times, And so what you learn how to do is you learn how to answer the same question, sometimes the same way, sometimes a different way. But you can't let it aggravate you, because that's just a part of how things go. When dementia progresses, as you said, it's a brain disease. And so the cells in the brain are dying, and so as those brain cells die, they don't know. They have no idea a lot of times what they're saying, what they're doing. But you do know, and you can vouch for this. One thing we do know, and we can tell at some points, is that even with them, it becomes frustrating for them, because you can tell that they kind of know that something is wrong. They just can't articulate what that is. And so you can feel the frustration sometimes from them when they're trying to figure out why they don't know certain things. And so, if you allow it to, caregiving, no matter who you're caring for us, this just happens to be our situation, but no matter who you're caring for, I think there's lessons to be learned in all of it. You just have to step back and be willing to learn those lessons and to gather the things that, you need to get from that experience that you're in while you're serving as a caregiver.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, there's going to be a lot of things. Like she said, every day is different. And caregiving comes in all shapes, sizes, and forms. There's going to be people who care for patients who have cancer. There's going to be people who care for those who may have a lung disease, or they may have different forms of diseases. But at the end of the day, we all care for somebody. We all make that active choice out of love, and we are doing it because we want them to be okay. We don't want them to end up in facilities or other places where you never know what may happen or how you can care for them. There's always going to be those moments where you may not know what can happen, but just being able to be here to care for them is amazing.
I think too, one of the things that, brings perspective for me is understanding that it wasn't just something that we fell into. I don't believe that there's anything that happens that does not happen with purpose in it. And so I just believe that this is something that whenever you're serving that capacity, that it's something that God chose you to do. And so, when you're in that, you have to do what, I'm sorry, your granny coming out.
Yes.
when God has chosen you to do that, you give it everything you have. And let me put this disclaimer in there too, even going back to what you just said. There's nothing wrong with facilities. Okay. There's nothing wrong if you have to place your loved one in a nursing home and assisted living and a group home, whatever it is. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. That's what they're there for. Not all of them aren't where they need to be, but I want to put that disclaimer in to say that we don't know. At some point, I don't know if that will be what happens here. But for where my mother and grandmother are, your granny, grandma are right now, it's not a necessity. But then there may come a point where the care that they need is more than what we can provide. And we will have to search out. I will have to look and see what is the next place, a skilled facility where they can get the care, because you don't want to, keep them out of where they could receive the care that's necessary. And so I just want to put that disclaimer in there. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them. It's just that at this particular point, we're able to do it from home. We don't know what the future holds. If that comes up, then we'll deal with that when it comes. But for right now, we're doing what we're doing.
Exactly. No, I definitely don't want to say. I mean, they work for other people. We just have them here because we genuinely want to make sure they're okay. I mean, other people will be able to keep them good. We just have them because they're family and we want to make sure they're okay. But another thing that we were discussing earlier that caregiving taught me was God's love. It gave me a greater understanding of God's love because of course, when you're younger, and if you are a Christian, you know that a lot of times when you're younger, they teach you about certain things, but it's up to you to decide how you develop that relationship with Jesus and how you decide to allow him to come into your life. Well, of course, as I'm growing up, I'm seeing more things. I'm able to see what's going on and how God protects us and how he consistently gives us love. So I'm seeing that he loves me even the more. He's showing me his love by allowing me to be here. He's allowing me to be a caregiver right at this moment for a reason. It's going to teach me something. It's going to impact me for my future because like my mom said, I am in agreement with her. Anything that happens for a reason. You may not know then and there why it's happening, but it's happening to teach you a lesson. And I mean, this is teaching me several lessons in one. So I mean, it's a great thing. It can be taxing. You have those moments where caregiving, everybody knows, can be a lot, but God shows me consistently that he loves me. I can ask him for things sometimes. I promise in those moments where it seems the most stressful, where it seems like they're always on 10 or wherever, he's there right with me. And with my mom, when we have those moments where we need a break, he sends those people to relieve us. I can always trust that God is always here with us and that he loves us. He loves what we're doing. And by his love, we're using his love to spread that love to our loved ones. We're caring for them, and that's showing how much we love them. They may not know, they may not be able to recognize it because of dementia, but we love them and we're caring for them. And so I just believe it's taught me. I know it's definitely done the same thing for you.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. You learn that even though people may not know, it doesn't change what you should do. Just because they can't recognize certain things. Because one thing we know for sure, Granny still recognizes love, and she constantly says, I love you. Hold on for me 1 minute.
Exactly. She does say that. Sometimes even when she gets upset with us, she'll say, I'm sorry and I love you. Or she has those days where she wakes up so joyful and I love you. She has those moments. I mean, they recognize the love. They can tell they still love us. They just can't control what they're doing sometimes. And that's just what it ends up being with dementia.
Yeah. And she's constantly saying thank you. When we give her our food, it's thank you. So they still recognize some things. They just can't properly articulate it. But it doesn't take away the responsibility that we have, one, as just human beings, as people, especially those who name the name of Christ, it doesn't take away our responsibility to make sure that even if they don't know, we still treat them as if they did know. Your responsibility doesn't leave. That's one of the things that I don't like, even as a caregiver, and even as I've heard it from, different ones. Well, they're not going to remember. If I come by, they're not going to even know. They're not going to remember. Well, just because they don't remember doesn't mean that you're not still obligated to do what you do. I mean, you can remember what they've done for you, and the longer you stay away, they're not going to remember. So, bottom line is, it doesn't take away your responsibility to do just simply what is right. God always expects us to do the right thing, because if nobody else knows, if nobody else is looking, God is always looking. And so we have to always keep that in mind, that my responsibility is to God, to them, and we have to do what we have to do, as if literally, because we are, but as if we're serving God himself right there. That's what I've learned too. That's what it's taught me as well, is the fact that when I serve him. When I give, I'm giving to him. That's that scripture that talks about, well, when did I do this? When was I hungry? And, because he told them, I was hungry, you didn't feed me. I was naked, you didn't clothe me. And they said, well, when did we see you when you were naked and we didn't clothe you, or you were hungry? And he said, when you didn't do it for them, you didn't do it for me. And so we have to keep that in mind, that our serving is not just right here. It's our way of being able to serve God as well. It makes it, I'm not going to say it makes it easier, because if it's in your heart, it's in your heart, no matter who you're serving. But definitely with your family, serving is even easier when you serve as if you're serving Christ.
And that's a very, very true statement. I mean, it has to do everything with God's love. God loves us, and he would want us to do and be here, just to be able, just like if he was here, if he came down, he asked you to help him, you're going to turn him down? You're not going to help him? No, because at the end of the day, you want to be able to make it into heaven. You want to be able to get that reward for living a good life. And I mean, caregiving has taught us several things. God has been there on every step of the way. And I want to say that I think the most important thing, I know it's taught you this too, but the most important thing that caregiving has taught both of us is the number one word, self-care. Because we care for people 24/7, but those moments where we can relax and breathe and get self-care is awesome. I mean,
well, it's teaching me self-care. I can't say that I have that one down packed. I'm learning even the more to make some time and to take some time for myself. I can't say that has been one of the top lessons I've learned, but I'm learning it. That's one of the reasons why I just pushed out the latest care, inspiration to tea line shirts, the self-care collection, because for me, it's a reminder to me that, you got to take care of you. The shirt says, I'm important to me. And we have to be important to us, because what I'm learning even the more is for real. And I've heard it over and over again and over and over again. But literally, I'm learning more and more, just realizing my own body, that if you don't take care of yourself, you won't be any good for taking care of anybody else. And research does show that in a lot of cases, the caregivers end up a lot of times dying or getting sick quicker than the people that they care for, because so often you put caring for yourself on the back end. And so I'm learning that one. It is teaching me that one. And so for you, I think what you're getting to is the fact that absolutely, when we can get away and we can do what we do it. We did a lot more prior to COVID. I think prior to COVID, every weekend we were doing something, but we've had to kind of be a little creative.
Movies.
Right. We miss all of that. And so, we're hoping to be able to get back to doing a lot of it, but absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely taught me a lot more about myself. Caregiving has taught me and showed me how strong I really am, because I mean, other things along have taught me that as well. But this has been one of the main things, because for me to be able to deal with 24/7 the constant behaviors that they go through with dementia, and having to deal with knowing that they may not always know my name, or that, like you said earlier, I can sometimes be the target for their anger. It's taught me how strong I am, how much I can handle, and how I can, even while they're doing those things, you may get upset in the moment, but at the end of the day, you know that they can't control it and that you love them no matter what. I mean, I really hope and pray that these nuggets have allowed you to get something from this, because I mean, there's so many other things that I can list about what caregiving has taught me, but I think those are some of the main points and made tidbits that can help other people, especially those who are just new caregivers, because it is difficult when you first learn about it. You first have to get information, but there's so many resources, so many things that you can look at now, so many sites. Of course, my mom is an advocate. She is total advocacy for Alzheimer's, and my favorite girl, that is her push. That is what she constantly pushed. We just wanted to educate you. I wanted to have her on because she knows a lot more than me when it comes to that. And I mean, we just wanted to educate everybody about Alzheimer's disease. And this is a way to raise awareness for caregivers everywhere by sharing our story, allowing people to relate to what we're going through and what we constantly do. Because a lot of people have to do the same things that we do.
Yep. And that's one of the greatest things you can do, is being able to share your story, because, some people just need to know that they're not alone in the situation that they're in. There are moments that I have where, reality is, I actually just shared with somebody just recently. Reality is, caregiving is a lonely place to be sometimes. And that's it, especially when you're a caregiver, you're in the middle of COVID. And even with Jesus, let me put this in there, even with Jesus, you know that you're not alone, but caregiving can be lonely. That's truth. And so, being able to share your story, put your story out there to help other people to understand that, hey, you're not in this by yourself. That's why I made the choice to share the journey that we're on, or that I'm on with your granny. And I share things on my page because, yeah, there's a lot of things she does that are funny, but then there's some things that she does that they are not funny. They're not funny at all. Now, I don't share most of those things, because even in sharing, especially with this particular disease, you still have to maintain dignity. And so there's some things that the world will never know or see, because at the end of the day, she's still my mom, and she still deserves to have her dignity no matter what. But there are some aspects of it that can be shared that will help people to know and to understand that, oh, okay, so this may happen. Because when you're first getting in it, especially with somebody with dementia, and you're not prepared for some of the behaviors, you could really lose it. I mean, for real. When I say lose it, meaning emotionally, there's some things that I've had to cycle through even over the last couple months, because I have a very photogenic memory. And so there may be some things that happen during the day that in my business, and just doing things and sometimes purposely. In the midst of that, you just kind of push it to the side because you don't want to deal with it at that moment. But then when you get settled and you're still, sometimes those things play back in your mind. And it can be very emotional. It can be very, because you're talking about your mom, and so there are some things that may go through your head, some things that play back in your mind that have happened that you have to learn how to quickly dismiss them. Because if you don't, you'll find yourself in a state of depression or, just being overwhelmed with the situation as a whole. And so, I make the choice to share. I don't have any regret or anything about sharing it, because I've had so many people that have reached out, that have said how they've been helped by just my simply sharing. And so, that's the thing I say to people too: share your story. It's okay. You don't have to give every single detail, but the part that would help somebody else, share it, because that's what we go through things, not just for ourselves, but to be able to help other people too.
Exactly. And God places us in those positions to teach other people, to be that testimony. I mean, caregiving ultimately caused me to want to raise awareness for other youth caregivers. I mean, there's not a lot of us. I mean, there are a lot of us, but there's not a lot of us who actually stand up and share their stories, because you always hear the adult's point of view. But it's good to hear those who are younger, because they go through it at an earlier age and they're dealing with trying to develop, trying to get their life together while trying to get somebody else's, whether it's a younger sibling who's sick or it's somebody else. So I just believe that we have to stick together and share our experiences, because if we don't share our experience, we can't change the statistics of what's going on. We can't change the number of people who are caregivers who are passing away because they're stressed out, because they don't have anybody to relate to, because they feel lonely. We have to stick together and we have to be with each other. So I hope these golden nuggets have taught you about caregiving and just the different things. Now we have something, my mother, all the time, this is something that she pursues. She connected with the Alzheimer's Association a few years.
Absolutely.
And she worked closely with the Tallahassee Association ever since to make changes, to find ways to advocate for caregivers. I know you serve as a committee member and you are always actively engaging with people just to be able to lead others, and you want to be able to help get that number, that first Alzheimer's survivor. And you do the Alzheimer's, we do the Alzheimer's walk every year, and we are always constantly trying to raise awareness for our loved ones in our family. Like my mom mentioned earlier, our granny's mother and father had dementia disease, and so it's in our family. We're gonna stop it, but it's in our family, and it's something that affects a lot of people who are battling the disease. And so we want to be able to raise awareness for future generations, for future family members, to one day find a cure. I mean, there's a cure for cancer. There's a cure for coronavirus right now.
Not a cure for cancer just yet. We're praying for one. we pray for one, but go ahead, prophetess.
There's a cure for a bunch of diseases, and I believe that these cures will be developed, because I don't think God intended for any of this to happen. But for those who do go through these diseases, they're going through it for a reason. You're going to be taught a lesson. It's going to teach you something. And so we do the Alzheimer's walk every year. My mom, she is always constantly, she has her team, #team my favorite girl.
That's it.
Every year they've raised money. I believe your goal this year is $2,000.
My goal this year is $2,000. That's my goal. Last year we were able to raise, I think, a little over 1,100, and we actually did that in a short period of time. And so this year we're starting a lot earlier because we want to do a lot more. And technically, I should have started a lot earlier last year, but God blessed us nonetheless. And so this year we are going to start a lot earlier. And so it's $2,000. That's my goal.
And the walk is scheduled for October 2nd of this year.
Yep.
Scheduled for
And this
October.
year we are. Last year, because of COVID, we did it in our neighborhood. So the walk last year was everywhere. That's what it was. That was the theme. The walk is everywhere, every neighborhood, every trail, everywhere. So people walked in their neighborhoods. We walked in our neighborhood, still raised money. This year, we are looking to come back together as a full Tallahassee walk to end Alzheimer's. And so that is the plan. We pray that we can continue with that, given that, COVID doesn't pop back up. And let me make that correction as well. There is no cure for COVID just yet. We just have a vaccine. Vaccine isn't a cure. It just slows it down. It's okay. It's all right. We're all learning together. So we do want you to get the vaccine. But given that COVID stays down, the numbers stay down, we will be having to walk together again this year. So we're looking forward to that.
And so my mom's goal is $2,000. I really, really hope you all donate, because this is something that means the most to all of us. And actually this year, we're going to be doing something added, new, different. I'm going to have my own team this year. Team Youth Care 2. And so it starts with us. The end of Alzheimer's starts with me and you. So I'm calling for all youth who want to join the Youth Care 2 team for the walk to end Alzheimer's. I believe I will be the first child to have a team that's actually advocating. So I guess I would probably set my goal for
I already set your goal. We set your goal for 5 because we want it to be realistic. Now we want to surpass that goal, but your goal is $500. We want our youth to bring in at least 500. Now we look to surpass that, but definitely at least $500 from the youth. So I won't ask the youth to join my team. We're asking all the youth to connect with you and to, it's more than just money. And let me put that in, and we'll have some more information. You'll find some stuff going out probably this week for me in regards to the Tallahassee Walk to End Alzheimer's. And so it's not just about bringing in money, but as with everything else, you got to have money. And the money, I found the Alzheimer's Association to be phenomenal. It is an organization that has all types of resources and what have you, but the money that's raised goes towards the research. It goes towards research. It goes towards advocacy. It goes towards a lot of different things that helps with Alzheimer's and, looking for and hoping to find that cure for it. And so, it's another thing we're going to be soliciting and asking for money for, but it goes towards an amazing cause. I always attach your granny's picture to mine. This is, the flyer for your team, but I always attach the picture because I like to put a face with the name. When you look at and you see, Granny's picture on these flyers, that helps people to know and to understand, Granny was a lot to a lot of people. He is still a lot to a lot of people. And so, we have this disease that has affected her in ways that have been beyond what I could have imagined. But, her face, she's there to say, you know what, do it for me. Do it for me. That's why I say that this is my why. This is our why, because we want to be able to help our granny, our grandmother, generations to come, me, you. I mean, we want to help. We want to stop it. And so that's why for anybody who's like, well, why is she out? Because I attach her to it because I want you to do it for her. If you don't do it for me or do it for Kaylin, do it for her. She's meant so much to so many people. So I didn't attach my uncles and aunts and all that because, this is my mama. Right. Her
Exactly.
granny.
She's
So
my granny. So, yeah, we just wanted to put that out there. I mean, like she said, there'll be more information coming out with that later in the year. But yes, I want the youth to join Youth Care 2, Team Youth Care 2. We'll have that going. But I do want to say to everyone who's watching, thank you so much. And we're going to end the video off showing our new shirts because KCK, we are constantly going. As you see right now, I'm wearing the Youth Care 2 shirt. Don't forget, those are on the Kaylin'sCaringConnection.com website. And you can go to www.Kaylin'sCaringConnection.com/shop to get one of these two shirts. You have the Caring Where My Heart Resides shirt, which is actually $20 for sizes for youth and adult sizes, small to extra large. To large, my bad, small to large. If you go to extra large, it will be $23. Now, if you get a Youth Care 2 t-shirt, the one that I'm wearing now, it is $12 for sizes small to large. If you go past large, it will be $15. But these shirts, the Youth Care 2 t-shirt that I'm wearing now, will go towards helping our ongoing efforts to bless and honor youth caregivers. We want to allow this to be able to allow you to join the KCK movement, the KCK Youth Care 2 movement, because like we always say, it's not a drive, it's a movement. We're going to keep showing and raising awareness for these youth caregivers because we want them to know that we see them, and while they care for others, we care for them. And our other shirt, Caring Where My Heart Resides, we'll just be going to our ongoing efforts to bless others, whether it's different drives that are coming up. We just want these shirts to be able to bless others and bless you all. I thank you for tuning in. This was a longer podcast, but we had amazing things to say, amazing nuggets. So I hope you take everything through. And I'm just so happy that you joined me tonight. I hope you learned something from this podcast. You all motivate me so much. And I love you all, and I will be on next Sunday if the Lord says the same. Be safe and stay inspired.